Welcome into Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Today on the show, why have the Braves turned this thing around on their 6-game winning streak? Who has the most to prove for the Atlanta Falcons this season? And this Deshaun Watson situation is out of control. We're going to talk about all of that today. It is Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
We welcome you into Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. We ask you to head over to youtube.com. Find our page in the search browser, Locked On Sports Atlanta. Subscribe. Leave us a comment if you would, please. We're also free and available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Download us today. You can find us on Spotify, Odyssey, all of your favorite platforms. Give us a 5-star review. And, of course, you can follow me on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. So, the Atlanta Braves are in the midst of a 6-game winning streak, and they took care of business last night. And, obviously, we expected this to happen with the Atlanta Braves. We talked a lot about the fact that this was going to be a stretch of time for the Atlanta Braves to get things right, to play all of the bad teams that are out there in Major League Baseball and find a way to get things done. So why are the Braves in the position that they're in? Going to give you a couple of numbers here about what the Braves have done of late. The biggest thing is we've talked about the idea of hitting with runners in scoring position, right? The Braves coming into this 6-game winning streak. So before the 6-game winning streak started, they had been hitting .231 with runners in scoring position. .231 in this 6-game winning streak. The Braves are 21 for 66. That's a .318 average. So they are 87 points better with runners in scoring position over this last 6 games than they were before that. Now, look, they've had a couple of struggles here and there. They've had a 1 for 7 mixed into all of that. They've had an 0 for 3 mixed into all of that. They were 4 for 14 last night with it. So it's not like that they've fixed this thing completely, but 318 versus 231 is a drastic difference, obviously, in a short amount of time. And capitalizing on bad pitching and mistakes and things like that has been one of the real keys as to why the Braves have turned this thing around. Look, the pitching has been consistent. They're consistently getting some good starting pitching. Kyle Wright was outstanding last night. After the first 3 hitters, he went, basically 8 innings, of shutout baseball. It was tremendous last night. Their bullpen has had some hiccups here and there, but by and large, their bullpen has gotten things mostly done. Yeah, Jansen had a few blown saves and things like that. Guess what? Very few closers are Dennis Eckersley in 1990, that are 46 of 47 in saves. Rarely do you get those kinds of performances. Guys are going to go up and down a little bit. You're going to have a hiccup here and a hiccup there, okay? Will Smith has had a couple of hiccups, but by and large, their starting pitching, their bullpen has been fine. And they've gotten contributions from some other guys. But we have talked a lot about the fact that their middle of the lineup hasn't produced when they needed it. Ronnie and Dansby have done a good job of getting on base at the top of the order. Even Michael Harris, to some degree, at the bottom of the order. But your middle tier guys, the heart and soul of your lineup, the Olsons, the Rileys, the Ozunas, the Albies, the Duvals, the Darnos, those guys haven't been good enough when those guys are standing at second and third base. And so a simple little thing like that can lead to all of a sudden opening up the floodgates as to why your offense is better. And we saw plenty of that in Colorado. Look, say what you will last night. I understand last night you had 3 solo home runs, right? And again, as we talked about, they were not very good with runners in scoring position last night. I think it was 0 for 3 last night with runners in scoring position. So they haven't been, perfect. But the fact that in this 6-game winning streak, you've been 87 points better, that's a huge difference in a very short amount of time. Now, the other part of this is also very simple, and that is Ronnie is the man, and he stirs the drink. In the last 5 games, he didn't play in the game that they won in Arizona when the streak started out there. But in the last 5 games, the 4 in Colorado last night, Ronnie has 10 for 22. That's a 455 average with a 480 on base percentage, a 909 slugging, and a 1.389 OPS. And guess what the Braves are? 5-0. He's the guy that stirs the drink. This year, the Braves, when Ronnie plays, they are 16-11. When he doesn't, they're 13-16. And this is what we talk about your star players and your elite players, whether it's the Falcons, the Braves, the Hawks, whatever. Your stars have to be stars, and your stars have to play. And when Ronnie's not on the field, it changes the complete direction of what this team is. It's not coincidence. Go back to last year. I'll point you to last year, and I'll show you exactly the games where once Freddie Freeman got hot and started hitting like Freddie Freeman. If you look, I want to say it was through 42 games, and I'm just going quickly, off the top of my head, but like through 42 games, they were 4 or 5 games under 500 last year. Freddie was literally hitting about 230 something. Okay. After that, they went 69-49. They were 20 games above 500, and Freddie hit like 340 the rest of the way. Those things are not coincidence. It's not coincidence in baseball when your best player is on the field and doing the things that he does. And we've spent a lot of time talking about Ronnie, just the way he disrupts a game. His power at the top of the lineup can change the dynamic of the game. His 2 home runs were the difference in that game last night. So when your offense is struggling, he finds a way to be able to drive into, even if he has to knock himself in, he's finding a way to produce runs. But when he does get on base, he turns a single into a double because he most likely will steal, or that if you hit a ball in the gap, say you hit a double in the gap with Ronnie on first base, there's a pretty good chance that he's going to score. So he puts so much pressure on the defense. He changes up the dynamic of your offense that it's not coincidence that the Braves are 5 games above 500 when he plays. And that's why we talked about a week or two ago, whatever it was, is that whatever you have to do to put his bat in the lineup. And Snitker said yesterday that he said in his pregame press conference, look, we're having to evaluate Ronnie day by day. It's a day-by-day thing right now as to see. He didn't play a lot of right field over the weekend and things like, but he played right field last night, and they'll spot start him as they need to. And I'm dead serious when I say that if you have to DH him a ton, and that means you're stuck with Ozuna in left or whatever, then you DH him. He is too valuable to this team. And the results are there. The proof is in the pudding, if you will. It's not, again, coincidence. Ronnie hitting 455 over the last 5 games, and the Braves are 5-0 and finding his power stroke. In that 5-game set, he's got 3 homers in that 5-game set. So them hitting with runners in scoring position has been the biggest dynamic, but just Ronnie on the field changes the complexion, and it puts so much pressure on a pitching staff, on a defense, on everything out there, that when he's going right, this Braves offense clicks. No doubt about it. And by the way, Braves are also 7-3 with Michael Harris playing. Just saying, they're 7-3 with Michael Harris playing. There is something to have guys that can play defense and put pressure on staffs and other defenses out there. All right, when we get back, who has to improve the most for the Atlanta Falcons? Who is most important for the Falcons to try to improve and get better this year if they're going to start to turn some things around? We'll talk about that next. It's Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta.